My name is Kate Hansen. I own Dogwood Hops and Crops and Trophy Room Bourbon Bar here in Winston-Salem. A little bit of backstory on me is I grew up in California. I moved to Arizona in high school. I lived in Colorado for a bit. In a past life, I was actually an insurance agent for about 4 years until my husband's job moved us to Savannah, where I left insurance and I started bartending.
Excellent, excellent. So, when did you go from Savannah up to North Carolina? Then was that for another jobs or anything like that?
No, so we just moved to North Carolina about 3 years ago. We just had this itch to just go somewhere new. We had 3 little kids, and I was like, let's just go on an adventure. And we actually moved to Winston-Salem without even like seeing the city or visiting it. We were just like, he took a job and we were all in. And now we
That's
love it, and
awesome.
I never want to leave.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well,
Yeah.
talk to me about the business and give everybody that's not in North Carolina, but also in North Carolina that hasn't been there, kind of the layout. If I was to walk in, what do you see? What types of customers and what's the environment like at your place?
Yeah, so we get like a bunch of different customers. Like we're right near like the arts district. So I mean, we really get all age brackets. When college is back in, we see like a lot of wait kids, but a lot of people that we see are just like regulars, people that live nearby, happen to walk in. I think regulars are like a lot of our business, and then also just college students as well as on Trophy Room. It's just like more of an older clientele looking for like an upscale drink, a nicer bourbon. Yeah, I actually started in like this little hidden speakeasy in Savannah, and it used to like have to walk down this alleyway and find a secret door. And then there was a light switch, and you had to like know the password to get in, which changed every single week. And when I was working there, I learned about 70 different like classic cocktails. And it was just like a really unique experience. They had like an amazing singer every night, and it was a whole vibe. So when I saw Trophy Room, I was like, this is super cool. But I actually, sorry, getting ahead of myself. But no, we moved out here and I was actually being a stay-at-home mom for like the first year, just trying to like get my bearings, new town, 3 kids, settling in.
Hmm.
Um, my son was starting in first grade, and so I was really active in the school, just volunteering in his class a lot. I had a lot of free time on my hands, and I got convinced to restart his PTO at his Title I elementary school. So I'm also actually the PTO president of my kid's school going into 3 years now.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you said 3 kids, but you undersold the fact of what ages they all were. You guys really packed them all up and went with it.
Yeah.
I have 4 kids myself. I can't even imagine picking up and moving with 3 kids that age. Kudos to you guys.
Yeah, I was doing the whole bar thing, and then we were just like, you know what? Let's pack it up and move. My daughter Murphy, she's 4 years old. Then we have Bennett, he's 6. Jackson is 9, and we live a whirlwind of a life.
Very nice. Well, talk to me. Like I'm not from that area, and I have not been to Dogwood Hops and Crops. Is this so? Describe everybody like what the concept is, and kind of
Yeah.
yeah.
So I actually, when I first moved out here, I started out on the opening team for Mercantile Chop House. And while I was working there, I met Adam Andrews. He's like locally famous and renowned for all his restaurants. And I just told him about how I'd always dreamed about opening my own like craft beer bar with a speakeasy vibe upstairs because like I loved my like roots of starting out in a speakeasy. And he was like, "Have you not been to Dogwood and Trophy Room?" And I was like, no, like I have 3 kids. Like I'm not like downtown drinking at the bars every night. So a couple days later, he took me down to Dogwood and Trophy, and I was like, "Oh, cool, man! Like you own my dream. That's cool." Like, darn. And looked at me and he was like, "Yeah, do you want to buy it?" And I was like, "Are you serious right now?" Because like the
Oh,
bars have been open since 2017, but I've only actually owned them for about a year now. And so literally 2 months later, the bars were mine and I was in complete shock. So like Dogwood is just like your chill neighborhood hangout spot. We have 3 coolers. We carry over 315 beers. We have 14 taps. Since purchasing the bar, I added liquor on that side. We have seasonal cocktails. We do like different game nights. Like we've started up music bingo. My husband is running this like insanely cool trivia night on Wednesdays that has just popped off. Like he's always changing it. Like tomorrow is poker run trivia. And he
Love
has
it.
these like wild ideas, and people just come to hang out, watch sports games. Like it's really just like a community feel with a ton of options at like hands reach, arms reach. But then on the other side, so it's like kind of it's one business, but it's like split concept. So then you can go through a separate door and then you're in trophy room. And I always like to describe trophy room as Dogwood's classy older sister,
Nice.
because that's the side that has like 200 plus bourbons. We have a really cool locker program. So we have over 144, I believe, lockers. So like people can come in basically, they go onto a wait list, and some of these people hold onto their lockers for years. And they basically pay a $100 fee one time, and then they get to put whatever name they want on their nameplate. And then they purchase bottles through our bar by the pour. And so then the locker like holds their bottles, and whenever they come in, the bartender will pull out their bottle,
Mm.
mix them a drink. The mixers are on the house, and then they just get their drink, tip their bartender. And so it's really just like a classy upscale feel. And I loved that it still had like the private members vibe to it. Uh,
Do you guys do
some
like live
members,
music in there and stuff?
we do so on Dogwood. We have a band that comes one Sunday a month, and then we are starting to do jazz on Trophy. And so I'm really
That's what I
excited
was
for
wondering.
that.
It'd be perfect in what you're.
Yeah. And we actually even have a live violinist that comes one Thursday a month. And so Jorge's amazing and he kills it every time. But no, we have so much fun on both sides.
Describe the Winston area as far as the greater community and everything like that for the audience as well.
The greater community in Winston, it's very diverse, I would say, is the best way to put it. It's a whole mix of everything. Like, I don't know how else to put it rather
No,
than just,
that's
yeah, it's
perfect. Yeah, a
super
melting pot is a good way to
diverse.
say. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a good melting pot of people. And like everybody has been so kind and welcoming to us coming downtown. Like just Liberty Street alone, like I love our community. We have Salem Organics, which is right next door to us. And like Chris and Tania and Ryan are absolutely wonderful. We have Twisted Pine, which is owned by Adam Andrews right up the street, like best lunch food ever. And they actually deliver food down to our bars so you can enjoy it and still keep drinking and hanging out. Like we're having a lot of fun. And I feel like I'm just surrounded by the best people.
When you how I don't mean to date you as far as this goes, as far as age goes, but how old were you when you got into the bartending aspect of things in life?
Gosh, so I was young. I mean, I've been in the service industry now for 10 years.
Perfect.
So when we moved to Savannah, Georgia, I was actually just sitting at the secret speakeasy that my friend got us into one night. And the bartender was just like, "You need to work here." And I was like, "I've always wanted to be a bartender." And so she just gave me a shot and gave me a job on the spot. And she taught me everything. Like, I had to know 70 classic Prohibition cocktails by heart. And like, it was not for the faint of heart, but like I owe everything to Emma because she really, yeah, she showed me everything
I
and it
always
was
tell
cool.
people in my experience in the bartending side of things, I'm a really awesome beer pourer and I'm a really awesome bartender from the therapy and psychology standpoint. But I could never remember the cocktail breakdowns. I was constantly grabbing the book under the top and everything like that. And it was the same thing in high school, like playing football and stuff like that. I could never remember the playbook. You know what I mean? I get so immersed into the present moment that I just can't retain everything. So I'm always impressed when I meet bartenders like yourselves that just are a mental Rolodex of everything that anybody could walk up and order.
Yeah, I'm also a firm believer in cheat sheets. So like we change our menus seasonally and especially on Trophy Room, like the drinks are so complex. And so, I mean, the customers can't see it, but trust me, there are little hidden laminated cards right behind the bar in case anybody just blinks in a moment. It's like, we got you. Like, it's okay.
When I used to do weddings for this catering company many years ago, I went like kind of like a football player. Like I had the sweatband and then I had the thing inside of the sweatband. So like no matter where I was, I constantly wouldn't be. I didn't want to ever be far away from the cheat sheet, so I attached it to myself.
That's a good idea. I used to do similar, but I'd have everything on me in overalls.
Ah, nice, nice. That's even better. I should have done that because overalls would
Yeah,
have
I'm
fit
like
in all the
bar
areas I
key,
said.
wine key, like got it all.
Nice. Well, let me just compliment you and congratulate you on you. That is the American dream of anybody in the hospitality industry that truly loves being a bartender. Is one day they always want. I mean, not always, but a lot of them have that aspiration and that pipe dream. But you went up and got it. So I'm already going to guess where this is going to go as far as I ask you from 10 years. How how has the drinking of the consumer changed since you were bartending in Savannah to today? And I want to lead that right into what we're here to talk about, which is hemp beverages and how that category in the past couple of years has really also changed the way the consumer drinks and enjoys themselves out in public.
Yeah, definitely. So when I was in Savannah, I went from craft cocktails, and actually like bars in Savannah close at 3 in the morning. So I wasn't getting home until like 5 to 6 in the morning some nights. And then I had a baby at home and my husband would go to work, and I was like, these hours are not sustainable. So actually after a really long time, I was like, I want to see all sides of the service industry. So I switched and I worked at like the diviest bar. Like they still allowed smoking inside. It was super beer heavy. So, like, I tried to really immerse myself in everything. But then when I came to North Carolina, that's actually what introduced me to hemp derived THC beverages. Like, I hadn't even seen those until I bought Dogwood. And now we carry over 40 plus beverages, as
Wow.
well as like have a THC draft, gummies, candies. So, like, it's really crazy just to see how everything has changed. I mean, I lived in Arizona during cannabis legalization. I lived in Colorado after legalization. But yeah, North Carolina is the first place that I really came across the beverages. And we also do like a THC cocktail menu, just using like nowadays in Palmos, like 10 milligrams. But like, it's changed a lot. I mean, I would say like total of Dogwood sales is probably like 10% THC, like hemp derived cannabis drinks.
That tracks because I did a survey with about 100 retailers in New Jersey in the off premise, so strictly in the liquor store system, and they were anywhere between 25 and 30% of their revenue. And then on an episode the other week, Tony over at AB Bottle Co. in Atlantic Beach, North Carolina, he said it was 35% of his business out on the beach side of things.
Oh my gosh.
And he
Yeah,
actually to the point
that's
where he was like, he's nervous, like if things go through, he's not sure if he'll be able to recover from that prop up that he's been using with that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many businesses that are on the line, and I just can't even imagine being in their shoes. Like, I'm friends with the owner of Carolina Best out in Salisbury, and I'm like, her business could just disappear overnight. Like, that's terrifying, especially when it's something that like people rely on so much. Because what I'm always looking at is that I don't think people are really looking to replace alcohol with cannabis, but they're just looking for another option.
Mhm.
Like most of our customers that are coming in are telling me that they're buying them usually for like to go because it's giving them better sleep. They're not having any hangovers. They're social drinkers. Some just don't drink alcohol anymore. Some just want to mix it up in different options. I mean, one bar I was working at in Georgia, we were always laughing because I had this regular who would come in, rip 2 shots of Fireball, and then he would want to pace himself. And so he would just drink NA beers the rest of the day. Like, who are we to judge how somebody wants to live their life? You
I
know?
think in the UK, I think in maybe it's UK and Australia, maybe they started a couple years ago calling that zebra drinking. When you switch
Oh,
it, you go
that's funny.
yeah, you go hard and then not NAs and you just alternate all night long. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like every few hours he'd be like, all right, I'm ready for more Fireball. Like,
That
but
is
no, I
amazing.
think yeah, but I just think it helps like a lot of people that are maybe like California sober curious. Like during dry January, I would say like our NA and our like hemp derived beverage sales go through the roof. So it also depends on the time of year. It just really depends. I mean, personally though, we have so many THC cocktails and they sell really well and like people are enjoying them.
Talk a little bit about, I appreciate that you do the infused cocktails part because that's one thing is selling this product in a 12-ounce can and everything like that, but it's a whole nother thing to give the actual cocktail experience to the consumer. Let's debunk a little myths here. Like what are some myths? Like everybody, I when I talk to some bartenders that are not as engrossed in this or bar owners, they'll be like, well, I don't know. I don't want everybody to, start getting all high and falling asleep or, driving their car. Like talk a little bit about what that consumer is. You said it there. Sometimes they're non-drinkers. Sometimes they are drinkers, but we're not talking about a bunch of stoners that are sitting around like wasting time and money and all.
Oh, yeah. And like most of our clients, like I said, they usually live also within like walking distance of our bar. So, like, if they're taking anything hard, like if we have drinks that go all the way from 3 milligrams to 50 milligrams, it's just depending on like what you are wanting to drink and where your tolerance is at. But I would say most of them are just trying to relax. Like, I see people just drinking them and they're telling me it takes like an hour to 2 hours before the effects even really hit them. And then it's just like a calm and more peaceful mindset of thinking. So I'm like, if it's like helping you relax and like sleep better and you're not over here like getting crazy and thrown out of bars, get like from being so drunk. I think it's a pretty good sign.
Yeah, that's exactly my point too. Is like it's also I think it's bringing in incremental audience at a time when that's really needed in the on premise.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree.
Do you have to educate your consumers at all, or are these consumers naturally coming in for this stuff, or is it really? Are some people still coming in and being like, I want to try it, but I'm not sure, you know?
We've probably had maybe only like one or two people who've been like, "Oh, I want to try this. I'm not really sure." We actually had like a mom come in with all of her kids that were college aged, and they were like, "We've been trying to get her to try this for years. Like today's the day, mom." And I was like, "Hey, I'm here to support it. Like, let's go, mom. Let's have some fun." And so, I mean, it's really rare. Most people that are coming in know what they're getting, they know what they're buying, they know what they need. Like, it's nothing unheard of to them.
When did you ever 10 years ago think that, I mean, you traveled, you were in Arizona, you were in Colorado, but I think even in those states, especially I think Colorado is the same, where it's not the same as North Carolina, the way hemp beverages are able to be accessed. So did that kind of change the landscape with specifically what was accessible in North Carolina?
So when I was in Colorado, hemp beverages didn't even exist. I mean,
Yeah.
like this was 12, 11, 12, 13 years ago. Like it was a long time ago, another
Yeah.
lifetime. So, but I mean, when I was in Colorado, was legalized already for a really long time. And personally, I think North Carolina can learn a lot from the way that they've handled things and also look at different policies in different places and compare and really have a good idea.
Absolutely. Did you ever think when you got into the bar business, even as a bartender or bar owner, you'd be doing advocacy work and speaking to lawmakers and defending your business and your industry in a sense?
I would say no, but I would also say I'm not really surprised because I tend to be really opinionated about a lot of different things.
That's all. You're the type of people we need in our corner, so I love it.
No, most people are honestly just shocked when they hear that I'm like a PTO president at a school and that I own two bars. And they're like, "You own bars and you're a PTO president?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I live a weird life. It's fine. Like, we're doing great."
I'll tell you a funny story. Being in this business, the alcohol industry has changed a lot, and it was a lot of partying before, and it's not so much that anymore. And I've seen the evolution. But I'll tell you a funny story about being a parent in this industry. As a sales rep, one of my other sales reps that was on, he tells this story that he loves it. He was going to drop his kid off at daycare in the morning, and then there was one of his accounts was across the street. And he ends up going at like 9 a.m. and dropping off his kid and then walking across the street to make a sales call. And then at the end of the day, they were like looking at him all weird when he was coming to like pick up his daughter at the end of the day. And they're like, "Well, we'd like to talk to you for a little bit." And they pull him in the office and they're like, "Well, one of our staff saw you drive across the street and go to the bar at 9 a.m. And now you're coming over." And he actually, by coincidence, so they're watching him. And that day just happened to be the day that he was doing a double stop where he was stopping in to say hi and do something, but he also needed to drop off something that hadn't been ready yet from the point of sale room. So he was like, "Well, I'm just going to double back later when I pick up my daughter at daycare." And so that the nosy person in the staff was like, "Okay, he was there in the morning and he's there at night. He's been drinking for 8 hours a day." And then he comes in and he doesn't reek of alcohol at all. So they were just so confused. And I tell that story jokingly because only those of us in the industry can understand that from the outside, sometimes it looks crazy what we're doing when we're trying to be efficient in how we operate our lives. So kudos to you on the PTO as well as doing the bars, because we need to normalize that to the world and realize that just because we own bars and just because we work in the industry doesn't mean we're all a bunch of lushes sitting around all day long being irresponsible, you know? And
Exactly.
I think that's,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead. Yep.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say, because yeah, like to me, it's like I love being a bar owner, but also like just protecting the kids is also like one of my biggest priorities. And that's also a reason why like regulation matters to me so much, because like you think about how like illegal markets don't check IDs, illegal markets aren't like testing products, they're not labeling products. Like regulation creates safeguards. So if anything, I think regulating for cannabis is a positive thing and not a negative thing.
Yeah, and even from the self-regulation that's been happening with those that are following everything to the T of the self-regulation that's been going on, it's ironic that it is the most transparent, product on the shelf in the beverage side. I mean, we really
It really is.
yeah, like I love the alcohol industry and I work in it and love it and brands in there, but you don't have nutrition facts on every single can. You don't have COAs that show you any heavy metals or bacteria or anything like that. So we, in the alcohol side, we put a lot of trust into these manufacturers that every batch is to the highest quality and everything kind of goes. I mean, it's an unspoken honesty code that goes through, but at the same time, for me, it saddens me as well because these brands went above and beyond to pay extra money for batches and COAs, pay extra money for all that other stuff, take away the advertising opportunity on those cans and put in the nutrition facts, even though they didn't necessarily have to. They were doing it to show a point that they were willing to do it, to be regulated, to survive and to thrive in that their American dream, which was to make this category grow. So it's I find it very disturbing and fascinating all at the same time.
Yeah, not to mention it's also like when you go into a dispensary to like purchase something, you know that those are in like child-proof cases. Like it's not just like, I mean, adults are using cannabis either way. So would you rather have your kid find like a protected baggie that they can't even get open or like some dime bag that you just picked up from a dude down the street? You know what I mean?
Yep. No, exactly. It's interesting too when you the Hemp Beverage Alliance talks about this a lot. And this is not to disparage the gummies or the flower, but specifically speaking of beverages, there's zero cases of anything happening with beverages because most of the beverages are in age gated aspects. They are in bars, they are in different places that people are used to age gating. They're used to watching, to make sure nobody's too messed up when they're coming in or drunk or too high and purchasing products. And that's something I think that a lot of people forget about in our industry too. We have an obligation from a regulatory licensing standpoint, as well as our own responsibilities to not overserve people in bars. So to make sense to pee in those places, because we are acutely trained already to know when somebody's acting a little bit out of character, whether it's through walking or different speeches that they're give the way they're talking to people. And so, for me, it makes sense for it to be where it is right now in North Carolina, and it makes sense for it to be able to thrive in there because it fits perfectly. Like it's a square peg, square hole scenario for me, the way you guys have things set up. And I hope everybody hops on regulate.don't-ruin-nc.com and signs the petition because that's the number one thing that we need right now. So speak a little bit about, Kate, in your advocacy work and in your opinions, and you and I very much seem like we're both very opinionated people, and I respect that, and it makes me happy. At the same time, I want you to tell everybody how we need them to get off the couch right now and grab their phones, and when they're doom scrolling, hop on regulate.don't-ruin-nc.com and sign the petition, because their voice matters, and letting people know that even just your one voice inside of this petition really matters to make these lawmakers see that their community and the people that vote for them care about these products and care about businesses like yours who service these products.
Exactly. And I mean, I think it's really important to also see that like the businesses that support these products are not just like the only businesses that are being affected. Like when I think about a small business, it's a lot more than just dispensaries. Like small businesses are what are supporting little leagues, they're donating to schools, they're supporting nonprofits in the arts, they're employing your neighbors. And legal industries create ecosystems, like not just dispensaries. Like I'm always thinking farmers, like the labs doing the testing, like construction, HVAC companies, insurance, marketing, accountants, attorneys, like security, retail, distributors, like every business creates a ripple effect. So like when you're trying to take away one thing, you're really hurting small businesses across the board.
Absolutely. And last time I checked, we live in the United States of America, where business is the American dream, and being an entrepreneur is the American dream. And we should be able to allow, when it's properly regulated, it should be a green light go, and it shouldn't be these challenges that we're seeing here. So kind of in closing here, I want to anything else that you want to touch on as far as promoting or anything like that with the industry as well?
So a big part to me is like helping out in my kids' schools actually really changed my perspective, because like I'm not sitting here every day thinking like, how can I sell more THC beverages? Like in reality, I spend my days thinking about how I'm going to pay for like another teacher appreciation week, trying to afford like classroom needs and supplies, playground improvements, student programs, grants, fundraising. So like for my school personally, in 2023 and 2024 alone, we lost our COVID funding. It completely disappeared, and our school lost almost $44,000. Last year alone, our school only received $210,000 in Title I funding, and that's a number that seems to get smaller and smaller every year. And people don't realize that like Title I funding pays for so many things in public education. Like that is what paying to like it pays to like regulate class sizes. It's what's paying the TAs, tutors, instructional supplies, student programs. It pays for our copier costs and our paper and like so much more. So our school alone, we have over 500 students, and I'm actually currently preparing for our incoming kindergartners, and it's exploded. We have 89 incoming kindergartners this year, and I'm like, where are they going to go? Because all of our kindergarten classes has to have a TA. So because of budgeting restrictions, we've had to pull TAs from other grades because we don't have enough for kindergarten otherwise. The funding just isn't there. Like once upon a time, our schools used to be able to better support their classrooms, and now our PTO fund like runs so many fundraisers just to be able to assist them with getting the bare minimum supplies met. So it's amazing to see all of our local small businesses step up and help. But frankly, I don't think it's their responsibility at the same time. But it hurts me when I'm seeing like teachers having to spend their own money, we're fundraising, businesses are donating, but like we need help. And then I think it's important to be looking at other states like Colorado. So it's like, look at how Colorado's been doing the cannabis industry for years. Like in 20, I believe it was 25, yeah, 2025 and 2026 alone, Colorado put $83.3 million into their K through 12 public schools. Like, that's crazy to me.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, that like that funding represents 33.3% of the state's total cannabis tax revenue distributions for the whole year. Like, that's mind-boggling. Like Colorado splits their cannabis tax revenue across different like funding channels. So I think it was about like 39 million was specifically put into building excellent schools, which just financed like replacing, building, and repairing school facilities. And then the remaining like 20 million went to day-to-day public school finances and the state's structural public school fund. So it's like, I'm not saying copy Colorado, but I'm saying we could definitely learn from Colorado. Like, look at them and be like, what's worked? What didn't work? You can look at states like California, Arizona, and be like, what are they doing differently? How could North Carolina implement some of these policies and also better everything around us for our future generations and the kids? Like, personally, our school has been open since 2012. There's been no major improvements to our playground until last year. Our PTO saved up. We were able to put in a Gaga ball pit. Now our PTO has raised $50,000 to put in a new playground, but the real goal is closer to 135,000 once it's installed. And I could only get the county to agree to install the mulch. Like, why is the state and the county and everybody not able to financially better support our schools? So it blows my mind when people are like against things like this because I see Colorado funding education. So I naturally am going to ask, like, is this worth discussing? Is this worth looking at? Like overall, I think it was Colorado. It done like over 3 billion that tax revenue since legalization in public schools. Crazy.
It's it's the part that isn't talked about. And I really
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on and talking about that because of your perspective being so unique working with the PTO that a lot of times the hemp industry and cannabis at large is villainized because of the reefer madness and everything else that people have been indoctrinated into. But in actuality, it's doing great things. I've spent a lot of time in Colorado when recreational came, as well as in 2018 doing research to begin to get into the gummies and flower and everything like that. And I was blown away to hear the same numbers. And
Yeah.
also, I believe like West Virginia as well was having the same thing. And West Virginia, I believe, was having the same issue where their issue was even different, where they were raising the money. They had millions. I mean, I want to say tens of millions of dollars or something like that. That was coming off of the hemp and the medical marijuana industry and the hemp industry, and they was just sitting in a bank account, and they couldn't even decide on the distribution or avenues for it because people were fighting about which special projects they wanted it for. When like it does make sense to me. It's for education. I mean, it's like let's completely destigmatize this entire thing and be like, the money can serve a good cause. Like it doesn't
I
have,
mean, if
yeah.
they can go into it with a solid plan and they can get people on board to be like, wow, this is going to bring in so many tax dollars. This could really help our state. Like another state is Virginia. I mean, Virginia
Mhm.
just legalized recreational cannabis to start next year. And I mean, do we really think that like adults who are already consuming cannabis just because they make it like illegal or hard to get, do you really think they're going to stop using it? Like, I'm sorry, but I'm sure tons of North Carolinians are just going to cross state lines. So, like, my question is, why are we just going to send Virginia all of our jobs, taxes, all of the growth, and all we're going to be doing is supporting the small businesses in Virginia instead of keeping that money right at home in our own state?
You're you're exactly right. There is we call in Pennsylvania, we have these comments about because of the way the states runs the alcohol and the spirits and wine runs the liquor stores in Pennsylvania. We call them border jumping, which is basically where we are right now with the hemp beverages in Pennsylvania too. We're in an island. Like, so Jersey it's legal, Ohio now it's legal, Maryland it's legal in certain pockets, Virginia it's legal, and then Pennsylvania is just sitting here still twiddling their thumbs. So not everybody's as advanced as North Carolina, and that's even more the reason for everybody to get out and support. So I want to remind everybody as well that, just because you're not a consumer of hemp beverages, this bill does affect you, because this bill affects your neighbor. Your neighbor is somebody, most likely, if you live in a development of, a dozen or more people, most likely there's a couple houses that are consumers, probably for recreational and enjoying their lives, but there's probably some, like some testimonials I've read on here before, that are using it to maybe not take as many pills for their pain, and maybe they don't drink the 3 bottles of wine before they go to bed because that's the only way they can put their head on the pillow. And I don't make to say that in humor. I mean, I was one of those people, and I say that because from my own life, hemp beverages helped me get through that period and get into my sobriety and get through the first year. So it's one of those things where I'm literally living proof that when my life was going off the rails at certain points, hemp beverages and non-alcoholic beer, when it started finally tasting good, kudos to Athletic and Brewdog for that.
Athletic is the best.
Got me through my first year very nicely. So I appreciate you coming on, Kate. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I really enjoy
I
your
did too. Thank you so much for having me. And one thing I always like to leave people with is like a big question that I get asked all the time is people are like, are you pro cannabis? And I always like to tell them, you know what? I'm pro reasonable policy.
That is the best statement. I think that's a perfect thing to end on right there. And so everybody, I want to remind everybody, Kate, thank you so much for coming on. And literally, I need to also thank you because there's no script and there's no agenda. We've never met, and I want to remind the audience, I've never been to your bar. I will be going to your bar next time I'm down in North Carolina and saying
Thank you. We appreciate that.
I have a goal to meet all of my past guests in person in the next 12 to 24 months, whenever that fits in my travel schedule. But I really want to thank you for the courage. It is a very courageous thing to come on a podcast that's going to be recorded without questions and without any sort of script at all. I don't have one. You don't have one. This is a conversation from a place of passion. And whether your passion is for raising funds for local education, or your passion is for running your business because that's what you pay your bills with, because that's the life you chose, either way, this issue affects so many people, and it's a ripple that goes, like you just said, it goes out into the entire supply chain, from consumers to the the hemp manufacturers, to the emulsions, to the truck drivers, to the people that are doing cleanup in the recycling plant. I mean, anybody and everybody gets affected with this. So
it builds jobs and it supports schools.
Exactly. Yeah. And you tell me, if I was a lawmaker, that sells me in. You open with that, I'm going to tell me what to sign, where to sign. But right. I want to remind everybody, as you're going out there, our challenge, 5 minutes of kindness to a stranger every week. This is the Ready to Drink podcast. We talk about ROIs, we talk about business, we talk about beverage brands, and that's all fun. But at the end of the day, this show is unscripted and unagendaed, because we are doing this for the human connection. And in 2026, this world is a beautifully destructive place, especially here. And we want everybody to remember that just because you have the wife, the husband, the picket fence, the dog, and everything, that doesn't mean your neighbor feels the same way. And I want everybody, when you're walking down the street, look everybody in the eye. Put your phone in your pocket when you're on the sidewalk. When you're at the gas station filling up that cup of coffee, look to the person next to you, ask them how they're doing, and actually shut your mouth and listen to their story and focus on them. 5 minutes a week of kindness to a stranger. I tell you what, with the amount of people that listen to the show, if everybody just gave 20 minutes a month, 5 minutes a week, 20 minutes a month, my math's off today, and that will get everybody going. And I really want to push more positivity out there. So Kate, thank you again so much for coming on today and supporting the cause that we're running through with Regulate Don't Ruin NC.com.
Thank you so much for having me. And please, everybody, go out to regulatedontruin.nc.com and like cast your vote on there because every voice matters in this. And like support local, support your small businesses, like support your schools, your neighbors, your friends, and make good choices.